Hello and welcome. I'm Cassaundra Paolini, and today we are going through your prerequisite into the Munay-Ki. So before you take the 10 rites, be sure to watch this, in addition to today's instructional class, which will include several modules, which will be your tools and practices needed once you take the 10 rites of the Munay-Ki. But this is also a fantastic class that offers support to those who are curious or interested and would like to see if this is the right fit for them. So it's why we're offering it to everyone. So for my background, I am a natural shaman, medium, and channel. And as your facilitator in today's class, we will be following a transmissions manual as well as a write-up. We're going to give you lots of information. So let us get started. My background with the Munay-Ki, it dates back about 12 years now, and you can find me in the registry with the Four Winds Society. We find that this practice in itself, as we have studied it over the last decade, if you will, that you can watch the rites come to fruition. This is very much a practice that what you put into it, you will indeed get out of it. It has the ability to offer magic, the attunement processes themselves, these initiations can help you to access and unlock parts of yourself. And that's why we find, especially right now, it's so important to share with all of you. So as we begin, get yourself comfortable, get a glass of water, and let us prepare. So as written by Alberto Valloldo for the Munay-Ki, it's your invitation to dream an entirely new world into being. And so this transformation, according to lore, is the wisdom teachings of the Earth Keepers. And it goes back more than 100,000 years. During this time, the teachings have gone through many transformations. Everything from when the mountain people migrated from lush farmland and across the ice in Siberia to the thick forests of the American continent and where the Chiara are down in Latin America and Peru. Today we're going through another evolution, and it's been in this time frame as we bring this ancient body of knowledge into the 21st century. And although the outer form of the teachings does change, the inner form definitely remains the same. And so in Deepest Munay, we welcome you into. Now, it's very important as we go through the Munay-Ki to understand a few things. First and foremost, the particulars, everything from fire ceremonies, opening sacred space, closing sacred space, opening our own personal space, closing our own personal space, inviting others in addition to preparing an altar. How do we create an altar? These are all the tools that will then be needed. And so we're going to read through a few things as we come through. And we're actually going to share it on screen for this one right now. There we go. And I'm just going to enlarge that fully. So as we go through this one for our sacred prayer, when we open, we call and we stand in the directions. Now, if you're not standing in the directions, you can do it mentally in your mind. You can visualize it or truly stand and call into the directions. So as you open your sacred space, it's also recommended, depending on the setting that you're in, that you can smudge beforehand. And we'll go into that one as well. And then you turn around and you open your sacred space and begin. So as it is, to the winds of the south, great serpent, wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us to shed the past the way you shed your skin, to walk softly on the earth. Teach us the beauty way. To the winds of the west, mother jaguar, protect our medicine space. And now, so as you've started in the south and now you move to the west, so make sure you've got your directions. Teach us the way of peace, to live impeccably. Show us the way beyond death. To the winds of the north, changing directions again, facing north, hummingbird, grandmothers, grandfathers, and ancient ones, come and warm your hands by our fires. Whisper to us in the wind. We honor you who have come before us and all you who have come after us, our children's children. And now changing directions again as we face the east. Great eagle, condor, come to us from the place of the rising sun. Keep us under your wing. Show us the mountains we only dare to dream of. Teach us to fly wing to wing with the Great Spirit. In these, as you are calling in the directions, you can also choose to blow in that direction. You can welcome them in by, give me about a moment. You can choose to blow in that direction. A lot of shamans will actually use alcohol and they'll blow alcohol throughout. You can also use flame with this. We don't recommend that unless you are an expert in that area and outside. You can also use a spray bottle like an atomizer, spraying in those directions. You'll see when I do it, I blow and then I welcome them in. So it's as you're taking that opportunity. When we now come into doing Mother Earth, if you have the opportunity, crouch down and place your hands on the floor or on the earth as you welcome her in. Just a moment. There we are. Oh. And give me a moment. Opened the wrong window. Excuse me, I'm just a little confused. I stopped sharing that and it disappeared. There it is. Strange. And there we go. So now as we are back to our opening of our sacred prayer, now we're coming down to Mother Earth. We've gathered for the healing of all your children, the stone people, the plant people, the four-legged, the two-legged, the creepy crawlers, the finned, the furred, and the winged ones, all of our relations. Now you can rise back up and you can raise your hands open like you're calling in the sun, the moon, and the stars as you say, Father, Sun, Grandmother Moon, to the star nations, all the angels of the divine light. Great Spirit, you who are known by 1,000 names, and still yet the unnameable one, thank you for bringing us together and allowing us to sing the song of life. And then you can allow yourself in that process, welcoming, welcoming, welcoming. And then you may choose to do other things. So as you call up Mother Earth down to the heavens above, reaching up, bringing everyone into your space. Thank everyone as you've invited them in, and then you may choose to do other practices, which you will see as we go through this. I do. Then you can choose to smudge. Smudging is an ancient practice in so many cultures, and in North America, it's a very popular, not just through all the Aboriginals that run through North, Central, and South America. And you can choose to do that. You can use incense, should you wish. You can use sage, sweetgrass, palo santos. You can use bay leaves. You can use herbs too, especially if you have long herbs but herbs like thyme works. So choosing what you can to be able to burn, to smudge. If you happen to have something to fan the smudging, then that's fantastic. It's why we use feathers. And the whole idea is to get that into all areas, all parts. And the same with when you're smudging around a house. If you don't have, then just moving it around is sufficient. Smudging really has the power, think of it like a burnt offering, to not just for cleansing and clearing area, but smudging has this magical ability when it comes to spirit and entities that might be in a space, and it can like shoo them away. So when you're doing your smudging, cleansing and clearing yourself and cleansing and clearing your space. So you can choose to smudge your entire space before you even begin. You can choose then to smudge yourself. And we usually recommend also, remember to get around all of you, front, back, all around, and you don't have to go close, just and under the bottoms of your feet. And then tricking yourself and saying, okay, now I can do my open sacred space. You don't always have to do it that way, but if your space needs to be cleansed, cleanse first before opening sacred space, please. And otherwise, depending, I mean, someone like myself goes through regular practices of clearing and cleansing. I can open sacred space, and then I can choose to smudge for everyone. But I think for the purpose of this, we will smudge first when we go into our practice of it, and then open sacred space. Now, as we come back into our processes, when we go through the Munay-Ki, this whole idea was the prophecies of the ancient Americas speak about a period of great transformation and foretell of a human appearing on the planet, persons of wisdom and power who live free of fear and abide in their eternal nature. It is referred to as Homo Luminous. Now, the rites of the Munay-Ki transform and upgrade your luminous energy field. They are energetic transmissions that heal the wounds of the past, the karma and energetic programs and beliefs you inherited. They reinform your DNA. They also have this magical ability to activate points inside of you, help you to access recesses of your mind and memories, enabling you also to grow a new body that ages, heals, and dies differently. Once you step into this power, it's stepping back into our original power. This isn't about having something that's new. This is about remembering who we are. So each of these initiations will sow a seed with the full potential of the right in that seed. Just as one would sow a seed from an oak tree into the ground, that seed contains the entire tree complete, but it needs to be nurtured. It needs to be fed. So the task of each person who receives the rites is to germinate that seed, nurture it until the rite reaches its full potential. And I can tell you, doing this over a decade, my rites are still expanding, growing, blossoming, coming full potential. And the whole idea is that the coexistence with the guardians of the wisdom of the Americas, that we're able to synthesize these transmissions and then deliver them to people around the world. So while the basis of this is in ancient traditions and shamanic traditions, that the bringing this to the forefront, which Alberto Villoldo did, was done in a manner that then could be taught, learned, and passed on continually from the original teachers to me, from me to you, from you to others. So the Munay-Ki itself comes from the Quechua word, which means I love you, or love. And within these, the 10 rites of initiation about becoming a person of wisdom and power. The rites are common to all shamanic traditions, even though they are expressed in different forms and styles in different cultures. They derive from the great initiations, in this particular case of the Indus Valley, where they were brought to the Americas by the first medicine men and women who crossed the barrier straits from Serbia in the glacial period, coming down some 30,000 years ago, all the way down into the Andes. These courageous travelers, like the Laika and the Earth Keepers of old, who had accepted the stewardship for all creation. And ultimately, as you come up through the rites, that is exactly what you step into yourself. The Laika are ordinary men and women who live extraordinary lives. They are not born with special gifts from spirit. They acquire the uncommon grace and power through prayer, study of the wisdom teachings, and insight, just like a Shaolin monk who is capable of doing amazing things. But he does that because of his discipline through prayer, study, wisdom, meditation, and practice. Discipline. So in some of the Laika, some grew to be renowned leaders and healers, while others lived quiet lives, raising their children and going into agriculture. But we are all here as the extraordinary keepers of the earth. The Leica felt that people would come to the Munay-Ki when they were ready and felt a calling to do so. So if you have felt that calling, then we welcome you. Many of you, once you've received this calling, you long to make a difference in the world and in your own life. And when you come to the path of the Earth Keepers with sincere intention and an open heart, by the way, the intention is to have an open heart. But should you have any issues in that, of not unworthiness, not feeling like you're enough, your own self-love, the Munay-Ki will help you in this. You'll find yourself in the company of the Earth Keepers who lived on this planet for eons. They are luminous beings and they're now part of the great matrix of life. These Earth Keepers add their power and vision to yours. As you experience the Munay-Ki, you will feel the presence and sense of the wisdom of the luminous ones and the luminous ones who have broken out of linear time and now dwell in the sacred space, the infinity, free from the gripe of karma, rebirth, and even death. The Munay-Ki will clear your luminous energy field of any of the psychic sludge left from past traumas. And as you raise yourself to the level and vibration of these luminous beings, you will come to be guided, and you will guide you. They will help guide you. You connect with them. You connect with your divine self, and you'll be able to recall stories and experiences that may be your memories or the memories of the divine collective, those of the earth herself, those of the stars. So, since the Earth Keepers come from all timelines, all worlds, above, below, and in every timeline, they can help us to access who we are becoming 10,000 years from now, higher versions of ourselves. The memories from the past are available. And it's, if you want to think of the Leica, but also our abilities to tap into the vast reservoir of the knowledge that assists us outside of the time. We have the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. We have this variation of these multiverses. The visions of the future come as possibilities because everything in the future is still in potential form. And that's why the Earth Keepers, right from the Hopi, the Maya, the Inca, and many other nations, gather regularly to pray for peace on Earth. They do so by tracking alongside the possible futures for the planet. And all shamans are able to do this. We can sit and meditate or go into prayer, and we see different timelines, possibilities for the futures. And sometimes when we see that possibility that is a better earth, a more peaceable earth, a happier earth, a cleaner earth, a more loving earth, and then it doesn't go there. You're like, oh, not enough worked toward that possible future. And we all ended up in the lower vibrational future. So while we are tracking alongside with these possible futures for the planet, to find one in which the rivers are clean, the people live in harmony with each other and with nature, where people love themselves, people live unconditionally. So the whole idea is to dream that world into being. The act of finding this desirable future installs it into our collective destiny and makes it a little bit more probable than it was before, because it has acquired now a quanta of energy from these, the Earth Keepers, and from us as the collective consciousness who work towards that. When we connect with these luminous ones, their stories become our stories, and we actually will remember things, lifetimes on this earth, this true story of humanity, the true story of, how about Gaia, Earth herself. We can also have remembrances of, how about not of this earth. It can go as wide and as vast or as small. Make it comfortable for you. But know that when we partner with the Earth Keepers from the future and from the higher dimensions, we make available to ourselves the knowledge that can upgrade the quality of our DNA, upgrade our vibration and frequency, upgrade our consciousness. And now, while this sometimes may run contrary to scientific wisdom, which says that our genes can only be informed by the past and by gifts or illnesses of our ancestors, what they had, I like to understand that when you are free of the bounds of time, when you are free of indoctrination and karma, that the future can reach backwards like a giant hand and pull you forward, and you can be influenced by who you are becoming, your infinite potential. As you receive the Munay-Ki, your chakras will become clear, and you will acquire what the like know as the rainbow body. This is when your chakras glow with their original radiance. Remember that each of the chakras may have a color that is associated with them, and they will shine with their original light. Or we may go back to a soul level self or a higher level self of the light within each energy center. Allow yourself to be that which it is that you know is truth for you. When they emit these colors, this vibrancy, this light, and you can feel now acquiring the rainbow body. This is the full spectrum of light within you, just like a prism would. While we see what 7 distinct colors in a rainbow, if you were to really think about in the prism of color, there's an infinite number of shades and hues as it runs through that prism, but just that can't be seen by our naked eye. So remember that once we acquire that true rainbow body, the luminous Earth Keepers can help reach out to us because they recognize that we share also the common vision and callings. When this happens and you've developed the ability to see the invisible world, and now sometimes you can see it with your eyes open, perhaps sometimes you need to close your eyes, perhaps sometimes you need to just use your third eye. You'll be able to discern from the more physical forms of these luminous ones. Sometimes people will see or perceive these ancient Earth Keepers as the Native American elders. You can also see them as the Aboriginals. You can see them as the ancestors from the Latin Americas or Serbia, from the Amazon, wherever it is that you see them. And it's true, when we were doing this, it's amazing the types of ancestors that came through and what we were able to see. And you notice them in their differentiation, I'll call it before the full upgrading, because they look like the ancestors of human traditions, human cultures. So sometimes you'll be able to perceive even their thoughts, their feelings, receive messages from them, receive the wisdom of their stories. You have access to all of this. And eventually you will experience the 7th, 8th, and 9th initiations, and you can download a new and better version of the software that reinforms the luminous energy field, which will then reinform your DNA, giving it instructions on how to create the new body that will age and heal and die differently. It expands your consciousness. And when you realize the power of consciousness and conscious creation, dreaming your world into being, you'll find that that means your physical world, your physical body as well. There's nothing you need to do to attract these luminous energy and Earth Keepers. They will come to you when you invite them to do so, just like all angelic realms and phylums do. So when the student is ready, the masters will appear. And they are ready when you are ready to receive them. They do not disturb you in any way, but they're available to support you and your efforts and bring more light and healing to you and the world. They're also there to protect you in general, protect you from negativity, fearful energies in the world, especially today. So the nature of the luminous beings. The luminous ones are a medicine lineage. They are the humans who rose to the level of angels, some in the bodies Some are in spirit form. Some have a mandate to protect those who are looking after the well-being of the planet. The Buddhists call them bodhisattva. They are the finest spiritual allies anyone can have and provide us with the knowledge on how to become an angel. And that is it when we're stepping into our angelic frequencies, our angelic light being body. This is what the prophecies of the Leica mean when they tell us that we have the Homo Luminous. And I would just like to say that even in, as it's written, if we look at Metatron and Sandalphon, that they were brothers originally in human form, and both became masters and then ascended into angelic form. We can develop the luminous energy field of angels within our lifetime, and the Munay-Ki offers us the energetic keys to do this. When we evolve to Homo Luminous, we call on the angels, the archangels, all the phylums to help us in finding everything and anything. Use them in your daily lives. Use them for abundance. Use them for health and healing. Use them in every aspect. In the Bible, it said, "Behold, the man is become as one of us." It is good to know good and evil, and now lest he be put forth his hand, and also take of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Jesus had said, "You can do all I can do and so much more." As we become earth keepers, we join the ranks of these angels who came from many different worlds, as they were the original soul's presence after creation. And they don't cycle through bodies as we do, because they do not need a corporal form, as they do not need to learn and grow during this existence in the material world. They have everlasting life, and they are infinite, and they are the keepers of many worlds in many galaxies. So the rites and your luminous energy field. The rites of the Munay-Ki transform and upgrade your luminous energy field. They are the energetic transmissions that heal the wounds of the past, and the karmic and the genetic programs and beliefs that you inherited, that truly we've all been indoctrinated with. And yes, in the collective consciousness, we have inherited them. They reinform our DNA, enabling us to grow that new body, again, that will age, heal, and die differently. The luminous energy field contains an archive of all of our personal and ancestral memories, and all of the early life trauma, and even the painful wounds from former lifetimes. These records or imprints are stored in full color and intensity of emotions, imprints like a dormant computer program that, when activated, compels us toward behaviors, relationships, accidents, and illnesses that parody the initial wounding. And you'll find that this is what most of us experience in this life. Much of this people consider to be karma, what you've lived in a past life that you have not yet learned, or the contracts that you have made that you come into this life and now you are having these experiences again. Our personal history does indeed repeat itself. And you'll see that in your life until you learn something that you are bound to repeat it. The imprints of the physical trauma are stored in the outermost layer of the luminous energy field. And so what we think of is, I want you to think of the layer of your auric field, their bioelectric field. And we have multiple layers in that auric field. Some will say 7, for example. And so as we're doing this, just think of your luminous energy field as everything that surrounds you in, if you want to think aura, think as though you're standing in this cocoon, which is maybe egg-shaped, that goes all around you and stretches off from you several feet, could even go meters, several meters off of you, depending on how your luminous energy field is. And when we truly expand it, it can expand out into across cities, across fields, across continents. This is ultimately when we start to understand our energy and our power and how far we can go. So the emotional imprints that are stored for example, in the second layer, soul imprints in the third layer, and spiritual imprints in the fourth layer, and the deepest layer, imprints in the luminous energy field, predispose us to follow certain pathways in life. They orchestrate the incidents, experiences, and people we attract. Imprints propel us to also recreate painful dramas and heartbreaking encounters, yet ultimately guide us towards situations wherein we can heal our ancient soul wounds. Ultimately, we're all here to learn to truly love and care for ourselves. The luminous energy field contains a template of how we live, how we age, how we heal, and how we might die. There is no imprint for disease in the luminous energy field. Recovery from an illness happens at tremendous speed. By the same token, imprints for diseases, they depress the immune system, and it can take an extremely long time for us to regain our health during an illness. None of us wants that. No one wants to spend months convalescing when we could have recovered in a matter of days or weeks. When we erase the negative imprint that caused the onset of illness, that immune system can radically eradicate disease. And the outermost layer of the luminous energy field is the membrane or skin of the luminous body. This membrane serves as a defensive cocoon in some way, and the skin is the protective membrane of the body. The imprints on physical trauma and disease are etched into this membrane, and the designs cut in the glass. Now, this is for anyone who studied Reiki. You'll see that when you study Reiki, you're supposed to feel close to the body, and then you're supposed to feel above the body. So let's say this is the body on this level. You're supposed to feel above the body, and then you're supposed to go up into the outermost layers and feel. Because if they have holes or issues up there, that means that it's starting here, and it can work its way and cause actual illness in the body. And so when we're doing that sort of healing process, you're supposed to do all of those fields of energy. Now, we're just going to go a little bit into I just want to see, anyone? We're going to go a little bit into the actual 10 rites of the Munay-Ki, just a little write-up on them. And then we're going to come back. So we're going to share a screen here. And now the initiation rites. The training of the Earth Keepers is an energetic component of a series of initiations that help us to develop a new architecture in our luminous energy field. The rite anchors the critical junctures in the process of becoming homoluminous. The 10 rites are the sum total of attunements that we go through as we transit from the body of the human to the body of an angel. These rites were first given to ancient teachers by angelic beings and are now passed from teacher to student. When an Earth Keeper gives the Munay-Ki to a student, it is the lineage of the luminous beings that transmits itself and that leaps from one head of the master to the student as they lean into each other and touch forehead to forehead or in an energetic. And to transfer this energetic information, the Earth and the Earth Keeper simply maintain the sacred space and embodies the vibration of the level that she wants to transmit while you undergo these initiations on your own once you receive them. The rites you can transmit to others as much and as often as you like. We understand the infinite power and the sacred energy and the intention within these rites, and then the multidimensional being that is the Earth Keepers, as well as the Divine Spirit. We realize that we can etherically touch foreheads as we step through time and space to remotely pass the rites from teacher to student, as with online teaching. So for the rites, the first rite, the healer's rite, which connects you to a lineage. By the way, I just wanted to say, for the foundation rites, which are the first 4 rites, each of these can be taken separately. They are standalone rites. However, once we come up into rites 5 through 9. These are rites that go in sequential order and should not be bounced around, that they should be taken all together in their sequential order, preferably with the basis of the foundation rites before them, which is the first 4. Then when we get to the 10th rite, which is the rite of the womb, that is a standalone rite. So there are 5 of the 10 rites which can be used as standalone. And it's why we wanted so much to have this particular module separate from all the teachings of each individual rite. So that way, should anyone jump into a rite, they have this to come back to. So now, the healer's rite, which connects you to lineage of and assists you in your personal healing. The Laika know that we have tremendous spiritual assistance available to us. These luminous beings work with us during our meditation and sleep time to heal the wounds of the past and our ancestors. And it really helps to activate your hands too, if you want to go into any type of energy healing, whether it's your personal or for others. The second rite, the bands of power, consist of protections installed in your luminous energy field. These are known as the bands of power and consist of 5 energetic bands representing earth, water, fire, air, and pure light. You could say ether. These bands are installed in your luminous energy field and act as filters, breaking down into one of the 5 elements any of the negative energies that come your way, so that these energies can feed you instead of making you toxic or ill. These bands are always on, and you must work with them, are always on, and negative energies can bounce right off of them. And in a world filled with fear, the bands provide essential protection. Now, the third rite, the harmony rite, in which you receive 7 archetypes into your chakras. In the first chakra, you receive the serpent, jaguar goes into the second, hummingbird into the third, eagle into the fourth, and then the 3 angels that go into your 3 upper chakras. Huskar, the keeper of the lower world, goes into the throat. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god of the Americas, the keeper of the middle world, goes into your 3rd eye. And Pachacutinca, the protector of the upper world and our superconscious, the keeper of time, goes into our 7th chakra, our crown. These archetypes are transmitted into your chakras as seeds, and these seeds germinate with fire, hence why the fire ceremony is so important. And you have to perform a number of fire meditations to awaken them and help them grow. After, they can help you combust any psychic sludge that's built up in your chakras, so your chakras can shine with their original brilliance. This rite will also help you to shed the past the way the serpent sheds her skin. When you're looking to bring balance and harmony into your chakras, heal your chakras, activate the chakras, bring them to their full potential, back to their original vibrance and radiance. This is a beautiful rite for that. The 4th is the seer's rite. This rite installs filaments of light extending from your visual cortex in the back of your head to your 3rd eye and to your heart chakras. This practice awakens your ability to perceive the invisible world. A lot of people comment from this one that the dreams become more vibrant and vivid, and that the 3rd eye helps to open the 3rd eye. The 5th, the Daykeeper's rite. The Daykeepers were the masters of the ancient stone altars and sacred places throughout the world, from Stonehenge to Machu Picchu. The Daykeepers are able to call upon the power of these ancient stone altars and heal and bring balance to the world. This rite is an energetic transmission that connects you to the lineage of the Laika from the past, and according to lore, the Daykeepers call upon the sun to rise each morning and set each evening, making sure that the humans are in harmony with Mother Earth and honor the ways of the feminine. The Daykeepers were midwives who attended to births and deaths, as well as the herbalists and the curanderas. They were generally women and were knowledgeable about the ways of the feminine earth. This initiation begins the process of healing your inner feminine and helps you to step beyond fear and practice peace. The 6th rite, the Wisdom Keeper's rite. resides in the high mountains, the ice-covered peaks, and were revered as places of power, just as other mountains from around the world, from Mount Sinai to Mount Fuji to Mount Olympus, have been honored as places where humans meet the divine. The lineage of the wisdom keepers are medicine men and women from the past who defeated death and stepped into and outside of time. The job of the wisdom keeper is to protect the medicine teachings and, quite frankly, the masculine energy, and to share it with others when appropriate. This rite helps you to step outside of time and taste infinity. The seventh rite, the Earth Keeper's Rite, this connects you to the lineage of angels and archangels that are guardians of our galaxy. They are reputed to have human form and be as tall as trees. They're beings of light for me, but I have seen them in humanoid light being form and as tall as trees. The Earth Keepers, who are the stewards for all life on Earth, come under the direct protection of these archangels and can summon their power when they need to in order to bring healing and balance to any situation. The rite of the Earth Keeper helps you to learn the ways of the seer and dream the world into being. And you want to be in the best space possible when you are dreaming the world into being. The eighth, the Star Keeper's Rite. So this anchors you safely in the time after the Great Change. That occurred around 2012, but we're in it. The time of the Great Change doesn't stop at 2012 and in that time frame. It is continual as we accelerate. And for anyone who has experienced, so for example, another fantastic awakening, it was a big Great Awakening, happened in 2021. And we're approaching yet another one. So according to lore, when you receive this rite, your physical body begins to evolve to that of Homo luminous. The aging process is slowed down and you become more resistant to disease you were once vulnerable to. Illnesses will be able to pass through quicker, and you may process events that happened in your life at the level of spirit. When you receive these rites, you require stewardship for all time to come and all future generations. Really, life becomes a lot more peaceful, and you make peace with your past. Ninth, the Creator's Rite. When you receive this initiation, you awaken the God light within you. You acquire stewardship from the smallest grain of sand to the largest cluster of galaxies in the universe. This rite had never been available before on the planet, although there were individuals who attained this level of initiation and awakened their Christ or Buddha consciousness. It was never really possible to transmit this from one person to another until the Great Awakening. So while spirit to human transmissions happened on occasion, human to human transmissions were considered impossible. The Creator Rite was brought forth and gifted to us by the Inca elders in the Andes during the summer of 2006. So for the rite of the creation, the initiation stimulates us to discover our infinite nature integrated to the creative source and to all creation. It makes us aware of the power we have to manifest and dream the world into reality. It makes us realize that the creating is not only a privilege, but also a responsibility, which is why it invites us to create with great love and courage. And then the 10th rite, the rite of the womb, also known as the 13th rite of the Munay-Ki. The rite of the womb is an initiation given by the lineage of women who freed themselves from suffering. And they want us to remember that we did not come here to suffer. We did not come here to be in pain. We did not come here to be kept down. We came to be powerful creatresses. And so that is, I'll say, an additional healing of the feminine energy. So as we pause here for a moment, any questions? Let us continue. So as we begin, we're going to then focus on expanding the luminous energy field. The luminous energy field, and learning about this, is vital. It is a key component for every single initiation of Rite. So what is it? So expanding the luminous energy field. When we create sacred space by utilizing the light of the 8th chakra above our head, the power of the sacred space is amplified many times when you expand this radiant orb and rest within it. The 8th chakra resides inside the luminous energy field. Now, it is a part of us and considered as being one with God and going into all of our higher consciousness chakras and to the divine wisdom of the universe and to the Great Spirit. When we expand it like a crystal dome, we can actually sit within it and shield ourselves also from the static of the world. And that's why it's incredibly important when you open your sacred space that you must close it before you ever leave the house. Just remember to close it whenever you're finished doing whatever it is you're doing. So you invoke sacred space with the greatest respect. Holding that sacred space is like holding a tone of a single note. Your song must be true and crystalline for its quality to be pure. And when you are in the presence of, for example, a master shaman or a great spiritual teacher, you'll feel the difference in the quality of the space and their energy. Sometimes you can truly just feeling it emanating off them, but also the magnetism of the space itself and how they're able to hold a room. The energy is clean, it's powerful, and you can think of it like a blanket. It requires all of our love and intent as we practice to hold sacred space. And so while some of us can hold sacred space for just a few moments, if we want to hold that sacred space for the entirety, for example, of a course or during an initiation, with practice, it becomes effortless, though you might find it a little more straining in the beginning. But we want for our space to sustain itself once we do this. So in this one, imagining your 8th chakra like a radiant sun above your head, and use your imagination as you picture an orb right above your head. And think of it like the sun has risen and it's glowing, vibrant. Imagine it's brilliant, shimmering on the surface, rippling across like waves, bathing you in all of its hues. Think of it orange, yellow, golden, white, truly like the sun. And now you bring your hands over your chest in prayer pose. Put a smile on your face. And you slowly raise your hands up still in prayer until they reach above your head. And then feel your fingertips entering the globe, the sphere of that 8th chakra. Feel the fingertips enter that orb and expand. And then sense like that. Think of it like it's spinning, expanding, opening. As it opens to you, your hands separate very slowly. Think of it like a peacock fanning as it opens. As we're expanding this brilliant orb, turning our palms now towards the earth as we come down. We're bringing that light all the way down to us. And if you're seated, then you bring it down all the way to where your hips are touching the chair. That opens up your field. And you can just experience yourself in that. Experience that luminous sphere. Sense the quality of that energy. How about the quiet, the stillness? Whatever the space is that's offering you. Pay attention to your breathing during the whole time you do this. And you can follow that with a deep inhalation and a deep exhalation, which is what I will usually do when I am doing it. Not usually, I always do. And you can explore inside that orb with your awareness. Explore the space. What does it feel like? And now, once you have been in this and you've explored it to your satisfaction, with your arms reached back out on your sides, they're going to slowly come back up like you're bringing that fan and bringing it to a close, and now palms up toward the sky. As you're gathering all of this slowly up, closing, gathering this luminous energy back into the chakra again, above your head. You just feel it glowing. And then slowly bringing your hands back down over your chest into prayer. That concludes. That is the exercise. And you will do this every single time when you initiate someone. Now, you have the opportunity that you can do the same thing. And instead of expanding it on you, you can expand on someone else with you. And you're bringing that energy back around. And when you release them, you're taking them out of it, back up to the orb and back down. So you have the opportunity for opening your own space. Open and close. Welcoming someone in, especially if you have someone sitting right there. When you are online, I send it across. So you come up, you go into the field, and you bring that around the person who's with you as you bring it back. You can come back to your center. When you finish the initiation, now you can bring them back out of it, back up into the orb, and close that. So when you are gathering that energy above your head, think of yourselves as releasing also. You can release spirits, you can release serpent, jaguar, hummingbird, eagle, condor, because you can close space also using this. So when you're doing your own personal practice, and I have opened my sacred space, let's say I've done a fire ceremony, I've done my practices, and now I'm closing my space, closing, reaching up into the orb, up into the 8th chakra above my head, feel my hands going into it. And I can literally say, I release all the spirits. I release serpent, jaguar, hummingbird, eagle, condor. I thank the heaven and the earth. As you bring yourself down. So remembering that when we do not close that sacred space, we contaminate it, like polluting fresh spring water. So it's incredibly important that we keep our space clean, but we open it for our needs and then remember to close it. So again, when, remember our sacred ceremony, our opening prayer, when it comes time to close that space. Now, we were able to do that just showing you with the orb, but let's say you're doing it in a full ceremony. So as you're connecting to the energies, you've opened that sacred space, you've called everyone in, you've done your ceremony with others, and now you want to close the sacred space. And you can choose to close the sacred space by thanking all those who you invited in. So that was serpent, jaguar, hummingbird, eagle, condor, and then thanking Mother and the Mother Earth, thanking the heavens above, thanking Great Spirit, and all those who came to join us. We release the energies, we release you, and everyone may return to the four corners, connecting to the energy of all the directions. And you can choose to also do it in separate. So for example, I'm connecting to the energy of the south, and I am releasing serpent, thank you, and connecting to the energy of the west, and I'm releasing Mother Jaguar. You're getting the idea, right? Connecting to the energy of the north, and I'm releasing hummingbird, connecting to the energy of the east, and I'm releasing eagle, condor. You can choose to do this in the ways that are most comfortable to you. When you want to, for example, connect to, how about into your own chakras? So you can, that's the releasing releasing from whatever it is that you have been sitting in, the energy. And as always, remembering to thank Mother Earth, and if you want to call it Father Sky. So long as you have acknowledged the four directions, you've opened your sacred space properly, expanding your luminous energy field, and working in, so that's your personal as well as the whole of your sacred space. Opening it, remembering that we have our 8th chakra, and this, you can think of it as soul essence as well if you would like. And opening and closing our personal space. When it comes to, for example, Mother Earth and touching Pachamama, Mother Earth, simply by touching the earth, it will help to organize your energy in important ways. Anyone who has gone out and done grounding and earthing, going barefoot. So this is particularly recommended after doing these. Go and connect. Go to about 30 minutes. 15 is okay, but 30 minutes is better. Really, it has so many healing properties, but it really help connect you with the earth itself. Sit on the ground. Put a hand on the ground. It's anything that happens in our outside world which could put holes in our energetic body. The earth has this magic that she can help to heal us. So now, as we continue, we want to go into, I think we will share this page with you. So the transmission rites, the carpe, the rites, plant the seed of knowledge, the seed of Pachacuti, for example, in the luminous body of the recipient. It's up to each person to water and tend to the seed so that they can grow and blossom. The rites are a transmission of potential and just do that. Potential, and one must then make oneself available to destiny. The Carpes connect a person to an ancient lineage of knowledge and power that cannot be accessed by the individual. Ultimately, this power can provide the impetus for one to leap from body of an Inca, a luminous one. The person is connected directly to the stars, the Incan sun, cosmology. The Kero believe that the doorways between the worlds are opening again, holes in time that we can step through. I don't believe that they've ever closed. I think it was just our mind that closed to them. And now as we awaken again, we can start to see them again, and that we have the potential, not just the doorways that are opening, the ripples in time, so we can step through and beyond, where we can explore our human capabilities, regaining our luminous nature is a possibility today for all who dare to take the leap. Dare to dream big too with it. The training of the Earth Keepers has an energetic component, a series of initiations that help us to develop a new architecture in our luminous energy field. The rites anchor each of the critical junctures in the process of becoming homoluminous. These rites are the sum total of the attunements that we go through as we transit from the body of the human to the body of angels. These rites were first given, again, to us by the teachers of the angelic beings and are now passed from teacher to student. When we think of this, so each of us has a bubble of energy, which surrounds us, ranging from the top of our heads to just below our feet, including a small part of the ground underneath us. Our bubbles are filled with energy that we attract, create, or allow into our personal spaces. Andean spirituality does not interpret happenings, feelings, or energies as either good or bad, or positive or negative. What is perceived is either light energy, sami, or heavy energy, hucha. Many of the practices and the ceremonies are entered on learning to fill our bubbles with sami, the light energy, which is the higher realms, higher vibration, and releasing the lower, the heavy energy, the hucha. So once a person is initiated into this work, and has the ability to fill their bubbles with light energy, they're also obligated to help others release their heavy energies. And you'll see that this is why we offer how many energy clearings, energy healings, energy adjustments, you get the idea, right? And in meditations, how we include them, how we include the chakras, how we include, it's like, because we do, we do feel obligated to assist others with theirs. So give me but a moment as we then allow ourselves to find So we just want to cover a little bit of information regarding questions about the Munay-Ki. So for example, what can you expect as you experience the rites? And these rites, the shaman's path of descendants of the Inca, the indigenous peoples of the holy mountains of the Andes and the Peru, the rites received as seeds in the energetic architecture of the luminous body that surrounds the physical body. And the more free the luminous field is from the dense energy in the past, wounding, and trauma, tension, and disease, the more rapidly the seeds and rites will grow. So as we integrate the rites into our luminous architecture, our awareness of the areas where we are most in need of healing may become more evident, and they do. Things come up. Our healing journey will accelerate as the gifts of the rites are developed. Every action and interaction will be informed by them as we step away from our alignment with our newly organizing self, and the rites of the Munay-Ki will quickly reflect reminders in our day-to-day experiences to return to the right relationship. Now, when it comes to gifting others or offering or initiating others, what does it mean? So you're invited to do this, and traditionally initiates work with an elder for even many years in sacred study before and between having the rites of passages. However, as we stand now in a time of quickening, the critical juncture of the human history, one of the reasons that these rites have been translated into an essential silent form so that these rites can be transmitted and replicated easily from person to person. And it was Alberto Villoldo with his work with the Chiaro who did this. It's like when Sensei Mikao Usui went, and there's over 300 symbols in the original Reiki energy, if you want to refer to that the monks used for healing. And he was then able to take it and use something very even linear, if you will, a masculine form of structure with just using a handful of symbols, so that way one could transmit the Reiki energy. Well, the same thing was done here. It was, let us work together to give these initiations and these attunements the best way that we can, so that they can be transmitted now from, again, as it comes from the masters and the elders to the students, and then as the teachers then pass continually to students. It is hoped that these rites will be transmitted to as many individuals as possible now and in the coming time. For this is a blessing of the elders of the Chiaro nation and the descendants of the Inca, who were the keepers of these rites. So, while it's not required for receiving the rites, it is asked that once you receive them, that you strongly consider passing these rites along to others in a way that's comfortable for you. So on the concept of the 100th monkey, as the rites mature in a core number of people on our planet, others will be drawn into the new consciousness. According to the prophecy, we will witness a birth of the new form of human on the planet and the dawn of a new civilization. And for those who don't know about the 100 monkey theory, it's not really a theory. It exists. We have mass consciousness on this world. And we need to tip the scales so more of us remember who we are. More of us understand our human potential. More of us are dreaming our world into being. More of us are living peaceably. More of us are living in harmony. More of us are living in love and love to others. Because once we do this, then that consciousness then starts to create the outer world. That consciousness also helps to, in the best way possible, influence other consciousness. where now all of a sudden the collective consciousness now leans more toward the heaven on earth rather than what we witness out there today. And so it's a really good idea once you receive the Rite to have the intention to pass them on to others. It could be family, it could be friends, and you could be teaching with it. So if you receive the rites, how will you know when to pass them on? Well, you'll feel it. You'll know it. I steeped myself in the studies of the Munay-Ki for 3 solid months and unwavering. And then once I had finished those 3 months and the rites were complete and I really felt some magnificent things that happened, it's like, you need to do this even longer. So again, went for another 3 months. And it was at the end of those 3 months, I was instructed, now you need to pass them. I was like, oh, already? Okay. And that was it. I started creating courses in Calgary for the Munay-Ki and letting students come to receive the rites because I knew it was time to pass them. I had integrated them properly. I did what I needed to do. And then working with them throughout the years, just keep coming back to them, that it's fascinating how they ignite new things. Or you get to see how far you have come, which is a beautiful thing. So as we come through this, at the conclusion of the Munay-Ki, you have to make that decision on your own. But take them with the intention that to pass them on, not just to learn for yourself, but to pass to others, and trust whatever instinct, and it could be to your children, for example. And while the rites themselves are considered, because they're part of the shamanic tradition, if you want to put it that way, the idea is that when you receive money for them, because you gift them to others, and that when you receive money for them, that is for your time. Understanding that even, so if you go to the Four Winds, it is over $1,000 USD, and it has been for a very long time, for over a decade, to receive the rites with them. So they understand that while the rites are gifted themselves, you are paying for their time. And that's a difference of value of what you feel your time is worth for how much you ask for it. I personally love being here in this energy and working with these rites. And that's why we don't think of it as a value of our time. We ask for something that we consider to be like an offering, but something in exchange. Because when someone is receiving so much, if I receive nothing in return, then the laws of balance are no longer in balance. And the universe requires balance. So you don't have to do anything further with them, but it is incredibly important that once you receive the rites, that you practice them. And then that leads us to the fire ceremony. So with fire ceremonies, you can do this with a bonfire. You can do this with a candle. And when you light that candle, you want to start it. So a traditional fire ceremony can literally just be, I'm bringing my hands over, warming my hands, and you can bring them into your heart. And you can just bring it into your heart. You can do it as many times as you want. You can wash yourself in the fire, and you can bring it over. That's really nice and easy. That is probably one of the easiest ways. You can also go into your 3 major centers. So wisdom, love, and power in the belly. And you can just take it and bring it into those as well. That is the most basic or traditional ways of then doing your own fire ceremony. How this then changes throughout the rites is that now we do the fire ceremony that literally works with what happened in the initiation. And a good example that we can give you is the one that happened to include the 7 chakras, putting all the archetypes into each of your 7 chakras. So starting at the root, at the base of your spine, your sacral, in your lower abdomen, your solar plexus, which is in your solar plexus, your heart in your cardiac plexus, your throat, which is in your throat, your neck, your third eye in your brow, and your crown on the top of your head. That then becomes different. Now you can take it, you light your fire, and you feed it into each of the 7 chakras. So that makes it nice and easy. You just want to scoop the warmth and bring it in. Scoop the warmth and bring it in. That is a fire ceremony. If you are by a bonfire, please don't put your hands in the bonfire. When we did this in with the whole group of us who were there, and we had the bonfire, and we were doing our shamanic ceremony and many other things, we were just like this because the warmth of a bonfire is intense. It's very hot. You don't have to go anywhere near it to feel that. And we were just bringing it into us, bringing it into us, bringing it into us. And you could wash it over you. So it's using this in ways. So candles, you can use 1 candle, multiple candles. Tea lights are a little small. Use something that actually has a flame on it, which is why pillar candles, how the dinner candles are. You can do clusters of candles or just 1. And then, of course, if you have the opportunity for a bonfire or a pit fire, then you could actually just create a fire ceremony right in that. So we leave that entirely up to you. And that becomes a fundamental part when you are taking on these rites. You must do a fire ceremony after every rite. It's imperative. And when you're doing personal fire ceremonies, remember what we had talked about coming up and opening your own personal, private, sacred space? Do that, open your space, and then do your fire ceremony with whatever it is you're practicing that day. And then you close your sacred space. It's your own personal sacred space. And you can do that for your own personal fire ceremony. So now, we will pass on to the next area. So now we're going to go into what is important with respect to during the rites. You're going to find that we blow, and we blow into the hands, we blow into the crown. Why do we blow? So the Kiara often blow in their breath through a sacred item, and during these rites or transmissions or across their metza, and we blow 3 times. You're going to find that in actual fact in a lot of traditional cultures that the shamans throughout the actually use blowing. So you want to connect to the finest energies, and you want to connect to the natural world. You're blowing in the 3 worlds. Remember the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. You're acknowledging all the ways of being. You're acknowledging the physical body, the intellect, and the munai, the love and the compassion of the heart. So when you're doing that, and you're blowing into the hands, but the significance of blowing and why it is that we will blow during the rites. The other part that is then important, and we will share the screen with this one, and that is when we understand why are we using pie stones? What is the purpose of that? So all the tools that we need, you must have a candle for your fire ceremonies, something to sage or smudge with. And like I said, if you could even grab a bay leaf and you can smudge with that if you don't have anything else. And if you don't have a pie stone, well, we recommend getting one, especially practicing these rites. But at least for them, put the energy into like a small, flat, round stone, because once you do these rites, so much energy goes into them. So we will pie stone or medicine stone. So is a gateway to the invisible world, and the earth keepers and the Laika. It is an interdimensional access to invisible realms that the Laika and the Earth Keepers have access to as a result of the 9 initiations, because in actual fact, you don't use the Pi stone in the 10th. And the Pi is a representation of the human luminous energy field, as it is. It is the luminous energy field that surrounds and envelops the physical body and the blueprint for our physical, emotional, and spiritual selves. The luminous energy field enters our body through our feet, rises up through the core of the body, along the spine, out through the very tops of our heads, and comes down the width of our outstretched arms, entering through the earth for about a foot and rising up through our feet once again. Thus, it creates a donut-shaped luminous energy structure and contains and envelops and reinforms us. I really should have had a picture ready for this. The pi stones are found throughout the Americas, and they really are. I've been to so many museums, and not just throughout the Americas, but I've been to so many museums of ancient cultures, and how many of them have pi stones? Vast quantities of them are in museums, and no one knows what they were used for. The Leica know that they are portals or gateways, and they also know that they are simply stones, and that you are the portal and you are the gateway. And that's why we don't have one. It's like just visualize and imagine one. When you become an access point to the hyperdimensional matrix of creation, your luminous energy field is unbound from time, and you are no longer the effects of only your past, nor the events that occurred to you when you were 12 or in your childhood, or in a former life, your past lives. Anything that happened, you are the result of the future of your destiny. So reaching back like a giant hand, propelling you into what you are becoming. So this is the idea of pi stones. I'm just going to stop sharing that one. That way we've got this nice one here. And I mean, we have several of them. We just keep them hanging around. That's my original from when I took it many, many years ago. And it's just, I let it go with how I feel. So this one had really drawn to me when I started doing them this summer. And so I started using this one. So now let us work on to our next section. That's the importance of the pi stone. But if you don't have it, visualize it. So now, why do we build altars? Well, we build altars. Different people build altars for different reasons. Some build them to honor their ancestors or to remember a friend. Some use them as creative kind of therapy. They build altars to support them in building a new life for themselves, or to help them get through an illness or other challenges. Some build altars to support, and others for release. I built it to accentuate energies for my practices. That's why I did it. Some people use altars as center points for meditation or ritual. That's really big in Hinduism. Other people build altars which are artistic or activist in nature. Some altars are memorial, while others are subversive. Some are built to honor deities, some to honor self. Some altars are built as demonstrations, events, marches. I mean, it can take on all sorts of tones. Some are built in natural areas, which you'll see things like, Stonehenge would be a great example of that, to celebrate and connect with Gaia. And so now when some altars are meant to last the length of the ritual or whatever it is that it's being used for, and while others are with us for years. Mine has been with me for years. An altar is not merely a construct on a high, square, flat table. It can be on levels if you need it. Obviously, if you're doing it outside, you're using Mother Nature. Some altars are really small and can fit, as I'll show you mine, on a tray, or it can fit in your closet or in a corner, on a shelf. And some altars are really large and need their own table and their own space. So some are round, some have levels, some are square. Some, again, built indoors, built outdoors. Some are temples. Some are in trees. I've actually seen that. Some are altars that are so large that we can stand in them. And anything that's part of our sacred space that we consider that we're bringing our energy to, and then you're putting what's not just important of it, it's also about what it serves the essence of it. So when you build your altar, let your mind open to the infinite possibilities it offers. Your altar can be a few pieces on a window ledge if you want it, or simple as a stone at your desk. It's like whatever it is that you're taking and putting that energy into. Or you can take up a large space. It's all up to you. So the first step in building any altar is deciding on its purpose. Mine is strictly, I built it for the Munay-Ki. And then the energy practices that go with it. And then ultimately, every time I see it, invoking that, remembering about my rites. And I keep it in a visible space in my home always. It's actually right on a shelf right there, usually. And so once you build that altar, it can be sacred, spiritual, emotional, creative, philosophical, whatever it is. And whatever it is your need and your intent is, that's the important part. And it can be all of these things. It can be everything rolled into one. So we build our altars as we embark on our personal journey, our quest. And it helps us to remember to stay present, stay aware, to let ourselves enjoy the act of building that altar also. And just enjoy the end result. So an altar is a principal part of shamanism, ritual, and daily life. And in actual fact, we don't feel quite right when our altar is not set up or functional in every day. And that's true. When I didn't have this with me, when I had moved, I just felt like there was something truly missing in my home. And finally, when I had received the box sent to me and I opened it up, it was a bit like, the box just goes, as you're opening it, and then immediately set it up. And it was like, you just felt the quality that altar offers because so much intention had been put into it. And so you just like the effect it has. It's for the better in your home. And your altar, again, doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be complex. It does what it does to serve you. However, there are some essential things that do help to make it effective. And so you want to be able to think about this when you're creating it, whether you want to consider the bare essentials, the bare minimals, or really embellish it. Use it with what works for you. So when ritual altars, objects are placed with specific intent, which have deliberate symbolism. An altar is created thoughtfully. It enhances the rituals, the meaning for the individual or group. It heightens the sacredness and the power of the ritual while increasing the transformative effects. Oftentimes we have treasures all over our home. It's just about bringing them all together. And so rocks, stones, seashells, feathers, candles, cloth, whatever it is that is from your setting. And many times, all these things which are scattered around our house, it's about bringing it all together. So the most basic symbolism for our altar are the 4 elements combined with spirit. And the elements are fire, water, air, earth, and spirit. The 5th element is the life force that animates all that is living. So, for example, the symbol of the element of fire is usually represented by a candle on your altar. And so I'm just going to take this and pick this up for about a moment, and then we'll come back. And so that way we can do it all the way up. So that way you get the idea. There's many, many, many things on there. And typically, my feather is sitting on the altar. I just put it off to the side for now because it was sort of in an obstructive view. But also when I light the candle, you don't want the feather anywhere near it. And I always use a snuffer. I don't blow out because that scatters energy and therefore would scatter spirit if you were using it for that. So candles can come in many colors. We always recommend keeping it natural and uncolored. I know in a lot of religious ceremonies they use red and other candle colors. I'm not into that. I'm like, get it as natural as you can. Keep it colorless. Keep it odorless. Beeswax is best. So the fire represents creative energy, inspiration, strong will, sexuality, and it's traditionally associated with the yang energy. So water is often symbolized by a chalice or a cup. So I happen to have things that can be done as a chalice or a cup, but I also happen to have seashell. The seashells also represent water, and this element signifies your emotions, intuition, healing, and reflection. And it's also associated with yin energy. So for the element of air now, this is where you can use your natural incense, sage, Los Santos there as well. This is where the feathers come in, and I happen to have this feather has been on my altar since day one, but then a student had actually gifted me the hawk's feather, which I was so happy with. And so all these things. Now you can also put a bird image or even a writing implement, so anything like a pen. Oh, especially if you got like a feather pen. Air represents knowledge and the powers of the mind. It's also a symbol for courage and is related to masculine energy as well. That's the yang energy. So the earth symbols that can be placed on your altar might be flowers, crystals, or stones. Well, as you saw, I mean, I have stones all over the place. So I've got my crystals. Yes. A long time ago, I used to actually have stones that I had collected from a very sacred spot in the Canadian Rockies. And all I have left, they're in a box. It's just I was going, my altar's not big enough to keep everything out. So I still have one. And so it's an actual stone picked up from a beautiful mountain range when I had climbed the summit. And so things that mean something to you. Other things, like you have like tektites, you've got pieces of a meteorite. It's like, what's important to you? What means something to you? And then you can just organize things however it is that you're comfortable. Depending on the size, you could put a plant on your altar. Animal images here instead of the birds like how it was above. Now we can do land animals. Anything associated with nature and feeling grounded, security, material, well-being, and this one all carries now your feminine energy. So again, back to the yin energy. So everyone seems to have their own understanding of spirit. Peruvian spirit is rainbow integration of all spirit bodies and directions. Simply stated, it's about life force, being, and the renewal, the rebirth cycle. In tradition, it's a symbol, could be a cauldron, which signifies the emergence of the womb and transformation. Well, again, this one is actually a little more like my little cauldron than it is a chalice. I used to have another one on here too. But I also want my altar to be pretty because I'm looking at it every day and it's set up in my home in a very, very visible spot. So it's like I don't want it to look like clutter and chaos. I want it to also have the peace and harmony that I seek to be also in my altar. Using things that would symbolize the 4 directions. So, for example, fire to the south, west is water, east air, and north then earth. And you can come into it in a star shape. I actually used to have a star shape on here. I had an actual symbol with star shape, and I had done it all with quartz crystals. And I'm actually thinking I want to do it again. I just changed it because I was constantly moving this when I was doing Munay-Ki. And so I did something simpler, and I will go back to that one afterwards. Getting comfortable with it, using the 5 symbols. So you can place a cloth on there, which protects the boundaries. It also, what can help secure the boundary by having a cloth where then you're not going outside of that. And again, it's up to you. What makes you comfortable? Allow your spirit to guide you, bring about your intent, and allow what feels right to you to be what it is that you create. So building your altar, working with its creative process. Obviously, you can keep your candle on there for your fire ceremony. Keep the tools, give me the tools of the trade, what it is that you're going to use. Keep them on there. Ignite the energies that are there. And even when it comes to the pie stone, when it comes to using it, I actually run it through my flame. And so that has options of igniting as well as cleansing. And if you're having trouble finding things for your altar, don't worry about it. Things will come to you in their divine order and time. And but remember, we do have things scattered around our house, things that are important to us, things that are meaningful. Put them on the altar, things that matter to you. And I think that's good. I think that's the most important part. For those who end up taking the Munay-Ki with us, we will send out to anyone who registers for any of the 10 rites. Immediately you will receive in a PDF via a message email with the attached document, the transmissions manual, which does include the first 9 rites and a great deal of instruction and information, and that'll just be automatic. So on to the next one. Now we want to talk about the energy practices as we go through this. So there's a few energy practices which also work beautifully with the rites that you're receiving, but the energy practices also are standalone practices, all on their very own, assisting you in connecting with your energies, assisting you in feeling, sensing energies, and allowing yourself to recalibrate, even if you will. So we're going to share this screen with you just to give you the visual of this. And so one of these ones, these are all taken from Alberto Villoldo and from his Shaman Healer Sage book. So the second awareness allows you to perceive the stories contained within energy. You install fibers of light along the scalp and relay information from the third eye to the visual cortex, where it can be decoded and displayed in vibrant color. This works perfectly with the Seer's Rite, the fourth rite, but it's also for those of us who just work with energy and you just want to experience. It helps you to just work at that. And the reason I say this is because you have a heart chakra, you have a cerebellum, which is the mouth of well of dreams or mouth of God, whichever way you want to put it. You have a third eye chakra. Whether you've had the Seer's Rites installed or not, you can activate these as neural pathways. However, once you've received them, this really helps to accelerate and accentuate the luminous fibers of light that have been installed. Now, as you install fibers of light along the scalp that relay information from the third eye to the visual cortex, where it can be decoded and displayed in vibrant color, we add that the information streaming in from the heart on the similar fibers of light, these extracerebral pathways that convey emotion and spiritual insight. The third eye registers facts, while the heart registers feelings. In this way, your seeing is tempered by compassion. On its own, the third eye is cold and dispassionate. By itself, the heart gets gushy and sentimental. Working together, the two become the healer's most powerful sources of knowledge. It is not a gift that only a select few are born with. It's for all of us. The visual cortex is capable of envisioning anything. More than that, it decodes the information, deciphering images laden within the symbols and meaning. So you assume prayer pose. Go to the second, taking deep breaths. Next, with the fingertips of both hands, you tap the center of your chest at the level of this is more of the higher heart chakra, and this is your center of love. And then tap the imaginary outline of the necklace right back up until you get to the base of the skull. That's the occipital point. And you can repeat this as many times as you want. And this is one of the practices that once you receive the seer's right that you should be doing over and over and over. But it's just a fantastic way. Also, if you think about it, works a little bit also with your lymphatic system, and that's why we do these types of tapping in Qigong, for example. It's not just about energy, it's also about working with our systems and healing. So now that we've done that, we're repeating this moment. Now we're going to our sixth chakra, in the center of our forehead. And we're going to pat an imaginary band from our forehead all the way around the top of the head to the base of the skull, right to the occipital point. So third eye, tap, 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 all the way around. And you're going to do this again. You can do that again 3 to 4 times, as many as you want, and then creating from here, and then another one. Think of yourself as creating like this nice little crown of light. And again, you're repeating these 3 to 4 times. And so as you visualize from the crown, installing the extracerebral pathways, to visualize so give me 1 moment. So again, that is tapping from our heart all the way around up to the occipital point at the base of the skull, tapping the third eye, all the way over the crown, back around again to the occipital point at the base of the skull. And you're doing all these 3 to 4 times. Do it as many times as you want, but at least 3 to 4 times. Second band comes around between the ear and the crown, all the way back around again to the occipital point. And then the last one from the third eye, just above the ear line, again to the occipital point, working our way through, repeating those, just allowing those to ignite. You can visualize the energy running through these pathways to activate them. You can visualize them coming alive and brighter as you're tapping. Think of golden light streaming through them, and you can go slowly at first, like slowly, and then watching it until it becomes a nice solid bright light. It could be golden light, bright light, divine light, whatever color you want to see in that one. Just bright, pulsing light. And therefore your luminous pathways being readily installed, transmitting information right away, and feeling that for the third eye into your heart. So remembering as we do this, to breathe, always breathe, and diaphragmatic breaths are usually best. Now, the second awareness cannot be achieved through just trying. Breathe, set your intention, relax into it, and allow the divine will of it to truly just come over you. Now, we've got the pathways activated. Now we can bring our hands into prayer pose, breathe deeply. And as you breathe, observing the energy, feeling the energy. And as you do, you can bring your hands apart. Just move your fingers apart. And practice seeing the energy field. So typically when you have your hands together and you've done some activation, that you'll be able to, they'll come alive. And especially because we've just finished doing all that tapping, our hand chakras really woke up. And so it's one of the things that you might see distorted energy. You might feel like, I like to use this example, if you were looking at a desert or a hot road in the heat, and how it has that sort of vapor and it seems like everything's moving although everything's still. You might get that sort of distortion in the energy. Now, try to look at things. Look at a plant. Look if you have a pet at home, any animals. Try to look around and see, can you see the energy field of all of these living things? Can you see, for example, even how about filaments that extend from a pet to an owner? How about the filaments of light that might even extend from person to person? When you start focusing on paying attention to the luminous energy field of all things, also yourself looking in a mirror. How about doing not just this, but also this? I know when I'm doing yoga, for example, and I'm moving my hand, it's sometimes very, very distracting because of all the energy and the differences and the splicings of energy. It's really difficult to explain, but it's like it gets a little distracting because you're seeing like an arm still here while the arm is up here, but then you're seeing the whole movement of it and in different splicings of. It's very, very interesting. And even if my hand, like I'm out here, but I've already visualized it here and I can already see my arm going up, even though my arm's still over here. So as you're getting into that watching energy, feeling energy, sensing energy, and then seeing the energy, the light wave pathways that come through it. And so when I have, for example, an arm that might be in this direction, and I'm going to see, in actual fact, it's like the filaments of energy and light that are connected to me and my body. And so you see all that happening. So that is one way to practice. We can also do attention exercises with respect to the chakras. And one of the ways for the second attention exercise, you shake your hands vigorously for a few seconds. And remember, all of these exercises are written out and you will receive them in the transmissions manual. So you shake your hands vigorously for a few seconds and then you bring them in your prayer pose. Remain mindful always of your breath. And then you bring your palms, you open your hands, and you can take them and bring them towards your navel. And very close to your skin now, placing the hands now towards your skin on your belly area. And just stay with your breath. And imagine your chakras, the vortices, just spinning. But spinning in your body, in your energy centers. But imagine them spinning also outside your body, outside this layer of skin. How far do your energy centers go? Can you feel that? These are just examples of energy practices because this becomes important, not just your feeling and sensing, awakening. This one is great, of course, obviously after the rites of harmony. Once you've received the archetypes into your chakras, work with your chakras all the more. Feel them, talk to them. So now, much like the chakra that is there in your, feel it, sense it, and you can take a finger and put it into the energy. And so by that, I mean, you can literally take it where you're taking that finger, and let's say we're in my throat. So let's say I'm feeling where my throat is, and then I take my finger and I'm going to go right into the energy that's there. How does that feel? Does it feel like nothing? Or am I feeling a difference in energy? Am I feeling like I'm really going deeper into that chakra? Am I feeling that with how it is? So you're going toward the body. It's like, pay attention. What does that feel like? Bring your attention to the very tip of that finger. Do you get anything, the sensation on the pads of your fingers? Are you associating anything with that emotionally? And so while you're exploring that, so the second chakra is a great one because so much emotion is stored in there. Then how about thinking of things that flip it? So now if you think about something about when you were afraid and notice that the chakra and the energy changes. And then after that, think of something that is beautiful, something where you would have felt not just very safe, but how about an exhilarating emotion? I don't want to say love, something that would excite you to do. I'll give you an example because it's not related at all to anything strange. First time I was ever in Venezia and I walked onto Piazza San Marco And I came out of this corridor, the old streets on foot, and just from this corridor it opened up to the whole of Piazza San Marco. And it was a gorgeous day, beautiful day. And the energy that hit me, not just from the water in the background, but the piazza itself. And I just welled right up and I started to cry. I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a beautiful, it was so beautiful, beautiful emotion that it brought me to tears in its beauty, in its splendor, in my witnessing it for the first time. That. So you can take that with one of the occasions in my life that it was like, it was so overwhelming that it brought tears to my eyes. And so that would be a complete of whether you're being afraid or being sad, something fearful, unpleasant, to something amazing, something wonderful. That's just an example. So allow yourself to do things like this in each of your chakras, being able to experience that. Something that's loving and something that's betrayal, hurt, something that took courage to do and you were proud of yourself, something that perhaps you were disappointed that you didn't take the steps necessary. It's like changing the emotions, and always end on the high emotion. Don't leave yourself in the low one. Start with just feeling it normal, change the emotion to something low, and then crank it up to something high, so that way you could feel the difference in quality. Getting to know your energy, getting to read your chakras, paying attention. You can also then take this and expand it. Remember, because now you have that ability to expand that energy. That also comes with, which brings me into the next one that I wanted to talk about. So when we are working with each of these rites, as we go into each of them, some rites have a lot of information. Some rites don't have a lot of information. It's more about the attunement process, and then you're working with that rite, sowing the seeds of what it is, germinating it, activating it. Like with the seer's rite, there's not a lot of information, a lot of steps for the attunement, which you are taught the attunement, and then we demonstrate it, and then we practice it, and we attune. Everyone must be attuned twice, and we ask you to then practice the attunement back twice to us. So it's twice in, twice out. And it really helps to integrate that process. And it doesn't mean you have to get it right. You can make mistakes. You can read from the manual. We can walk you through it. That none of these are a problem. But the thing is for you to just be there practicing it, feeling the energy, sensing the energy, allowing it to come and to go, reinforcing it. Now, each of these rites happen to have something. So as an example, the harmony rites, we're going to teach you all about the archetypes. And that's because each archetype happens to have symbolism and meaning within it. And so it's got its own paragraph of what it means to have that archetype. So jaguar going into the chakra of the root for the sacral, for example. Now we turn around and we have the bands of power, the bands of protection. These bands go in 5 particular bands, which go in separate areas of the body, including the rainbow body. You have to know not just with fire ceremony, but how to feed these bands using all 5 elements. That's a great way. Practices that go into it. So we teach these ones with the rite included. This is all the extra stuff on top of that. The introduction to the Munay-Ki, the history of the Munay-Ki, practices within it as well, and then some energy practices, which are always important. Learning about the altar, learning about how to open and close sacred space, learning about your own personal space, opening that sacred, and being able to put these things into your own personal practices as we go through. So now when we are working with seeing the aura, for example, we'll get back into that one. So each rite themselves can be anywhere from an hour for the class to an hour and a half as we go through the 10 rites, because each rite has something different to offer. And the only thing I can say is, as an example of that, that things like the harmony rites and the bands of power, which have more information, will have a sit-down informatic class to go beforehand, especially when we need to learn more about the chakras. Then once we get into the rite of the womb, that has a very large piece of information to go through beforehand. And so just to give you those. Now, as we're coming into this one, exploring the chakras. So when we went into that one, in the transmissions manual, you will find these. And the exercises start on pages 32, 36, 37, and they give you energy practices. One of the energy practices also is about talking about being able to see or perceive the aura, not just the energy as you're looking on animals and other things. But if you wanted to practice with yourself, so for example, how about looking in a mirror with a white wall behind you? Also, if you happen to have a friend and you want to practice this, just allow yourself to stand or sit against a white wall behind you, and you can dim the lights so that way your eyes can adjust, and just see with a soft gaze. Enter a calm state. It's recommended that you go into prayer pose. This also helps with your heart center, getting connected. Breathe, always with the breath, and then allow yourself to open up and then just scan. So if you're looking in a mirror with a white wall behind you, allow yourself to just open and scan, and you want to just scan the energy field and see if you can perceive the aura, the energies that are there. That was a great energetic practice. We have and then the importance of remembering that the 3 power centers, because these will be used, and that is again the center of wisdom in the brow. In Chinese cultures, in the traditional medicine, this is the upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian. Center of wisdom, center of love, center of power. We have to know what the chakras are, because in some of the rites we have to attune. So you have to attune, for example, the second, the fourth, and the sixth chakras. And so you have to know the second chakra is the sacral, the fourth chakra is the heart, the sixth chakra is the third eye. I've got it, I just to try and remember what it is. And so because of that, it's important to then have the foundation basis before going into the rites. Now, before we head on to the next section, we'll just give everyone a moment. So for this part, I'm actually going to share the screen, and we are going to, because in opening sacred space and our sacred ceremony, we do call in the archetypes. So I think it's really important, so you understand the meaning of them, that we then go through that information. I just want to make sure that we've got that on there. There we go. So for the archetypes, we just get it through here. The archetypes are the organizing principles of the universe. They have been planted as seeds in each of your chakras, but also remembering that you're welcoming them in when you open your space for sacred ceremony. It's important to remember that they are pure potential, and it is your relationship with them that will grow them into powerful forces that inform your chakras in new ways, but also why it is we welcome them in. And that's why we do fire ceremonies, to grow these seeds with fire. As you develop your own relationship with the archetypes, your description will evolve from your experience and become your own. So first and foremost, the serpent. So we're going to go through these 4. Serpent. Each of the archetypal animals exudes a different flavor of energy. Serpent symbolizes knowledge, sexuality, and healing, perhaps the most universal archetype. Serpent has always been represented the healing power of nature. The staff of medicine is formed by two serpents intertwined by around the rod. You can also think of Kundalini rising by the serpent. We call upon the serpent to shed heavy energies, wounds, and emotions from others, whether from over empathy, to fully engage with our core relationship to the earth. She is the primary life force, the one who dives deep, who knows the way of the deepest places inside of you. She is the one who walks with beauty on the belly of the mother, the one who knows the way back to the garden, the place of innocence. And the serpent teaches us to shed our past the way she sheds her skin, so we may walk with beauty on the belly of the mother. Jaguar, where serpent represents the power of healing, which is gradual and incremental. Jaguar stands for sudden transformation. That which endures is always changing and renewing itself. That which remains unchanged perishes. We call upon Jaguar to help us disengage in any battle, or to be fearless in knowing and asking what we truly desire and leaping into our chosen destiny. She swallows the dying sun, teaches us to step beyond fear, violence, and death. We can transform our bodies so that they heal more rapidly and age more elegantly by embodying the forces represented by Jaguar. Consider the metaphor that we have 9 lives like cats. And when we reach the end of these lifetimes, others might call them stages or phases. It is important that we give the old self a decent burial and then leap like a jaguar into who we are becoming. Otherwise, we can spend years patching and fixing an old self which we have outgrown. Jaguar teaches us to step beyond fear, violence, and death. She is the force of the jungle and the steward of life force. And it's why when we invite Jaguar to protect our medicine space, to teach us the way to live impeccably and to show us the way beyond death. Hummingbird represents the courage required to embark on an epic journey. Much like hummingbirds migrate over the Atlantic every year from Brazil to Canada. Fascinating. One touched by the energies of this archetype, we are propelled into our own epic journey that eventually leads us back to our source, where our spirit was spawned. When you do not have enough time, money, or know-how for what you are attempting, Hummingbird can provide the courage and guidance necessary for success. Hummingbird drinks from the nectar of life, seeking the flowers, not the garbage, knowing stillness even in motion. Not built for flight, yet undertaking and accomplishing the impossible journey. Canada to Brazil, just state that again. She helps us to become unattached to what we identify with and to specific outcomes so that we have nothing left to defend and can simply enjoy the sweetness of life from the perspective of the witness or creator. And lastly, Eagle Condor. Eagle perceives the entire panorama of life without becoming bogged down in its details. I love that. Fly above it. The energies of the eagle assist us finding the guiding vision of our lives. The eyes of the condor see into the past and future, helping us to know where we come from and who we are becoming. Eagle allows us to rise above the mundane battles that occupy our lives and consume our energy and attention. Eagle gives us wings to soar above trivial day-to-day struggles into the high peaks close to heaven. Eagle and condor represent the self-transcending principle in nature. The great wings of the condor hold the heart, teaches us to see with the eyes of the heart. The eagle pushes us out of the nest to spread our own wings so that we may fly wing to wing with the Great Spirit. And for me, that was important to bring to everyone because of when we open sacred space. And on that, let us now just bring you a little bit of I just wanted to see if I wanted to do this one, if we can save that one for the harmony. You know what? We're going to do this one. I could have saved it for when we do the rites of the harmony, but I'd like to share this one now. So chakras, regardless of where we're born, everyone has a skeletal with the exact same number of bones. In the same way, we all share a luminous anatomy, which includes the chakras and the acupuncture meridians. The chakras are swirling discs of energy. They spin 3 to 4 inches outside the body and link to our spine and central nervous system, acting as a direct pipeline to the human neural network. They rotate clockwise and in the same direction that the spiral arms of the galaxy revolve. Each chakra has a unique frequency that we perceive as one of the 7 colors of the rainbow, though you might not follow your own truth. The chakras in a newborn child display their pure color. And so whether it's from the pure color of the red, of the color of the rainbows, the red, the orange, the yellow, green, blue, and violet, indigo or violet, or white. They might also shine with the brilliant radiance of a soul color. They might also just illuminate with a divine light color, like a light. So knowing that as we grow older, our chakras, the energy in them, but also the light in them becomes dull. Trauma and loss leave a toxic residue behind, and the sludge that adheres to the chakra does not permit it to vibrate at its pure frequency. And the physical aging is accelerated. Also, this is where once you learn about the chakras, you understand all their associations with our organs and parts of our body, how illness and truly disease can set in. And it has physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual ramifications. So when a shaman completes her healing process, her chakras become clear. They spin freely and vibrate to their original purity again. When you clear all of your chakras, you acquire the rainbow body. Each center vibrates at its natural frequency, and you radiate the entire spectrum in addition to that divine vibrant light. And according to legend, when you acquire the rainbow body, you can make the journey beyond death to the spirit world. You are able to assist others in their healing, and you can die consciously, since you already know the way back home. The jungle shamans believe death is a great predator that stalks each and every one of us. And when your chakras are clear, you're no longer stalked by death. You are claimed by life. So the earth chakras, we have 5 lower chakras from the root to the throat that are nourished primarily by the earth, and the 4 upper chakras fed by the energies of the sun. The sky god religions emphasize the development of the upper chakras, and some tend to neglect the lower chakras. So the sky god civilizations perfected technology, reason, and logic. The earth goddess religions emphasize the lower chakras to the neglect of the upper. We need the perfect union. These civilizations remained agrarian cultures with little interest in Western style progress. Today, we must develop the gifts of both the earth and the sky chakras. Like the organs of the body, each chakra performs a unique function. And so the first and second chakras digest emotional energies, churning them over to draw out nutrients. When sludge blinds our second chakra, builds in our second chakra, where the fight or flight response resides, we interpret the world as hostile and aggressive. The solar plexus, heart, and throat chakras, that's our third, our fourth, and our fifth, are nurtured by the finer energies of love, compassion, and empathy, and are not equipped to digest emotions of any kind. The sky chakras, in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th chakras, development becomes transpersonal. We explore increasingly subtle domains. The 6th chakra is when the 6th chakra is malfunctioning, the individual confuses information with knowledge. He or she feels has attained great spiritual truths when he is all a collection of facts. Spiritual materialism is an endemic dysfunction, and the third eye chakra. An awakened third eye gives you knowledge of the past and future and allows you to envision alternative destinies. The 7th chakra at the top of your head is our portal to the heavens, in the same way when the first chakra and the portal to the earth. And by the way, there's an earth chakra below our feet. The lessons, think of it in the same way we have the eighth chakra above our head. Think that there is an earth chakra below our feet like that. The lessons of the seventh chakra is mastery of time, whereas the sixth chakra is the healer acquires knowledge of the past and future events. When we awaken the gifts of the seventh chakra, we are able to influence those events. The negative expression of the seventh chakra is spiritual regression, masquerading as enlightenment. Eighth chakra resides in a few inches above the head, and it can be much, much, much higher than that. And when we awaken, when awakened, shines like the radiant sun inside the LEF. The eighth chakra acts as a blueprint to create the physical body. This chakra is like a carpenter who builds a chair, the physical body, that later burns it in his fireplace. The carpenter feels no loss. He knows that he can simply build another one out of new wood. The eighth chakra is unaffected by death of the body. In this center, we become aware of the beholder, known in Buddhism as the witness, a self that has been present from the beginning of our spiritual journey, now disengaged from the mind. It is able to hold the mind with all of its, behold the mind with all of its dramas without subscribing to them, to become the observer. The beholder witnesses our life unfolding and understands that all of the stories we use to describe ourselves are only stories. The beholder perceives everything but cannot itself be perceived because it cannot be turned into an object of perception. The eighth chakra resides in the luminous energy field. It hovers above the head like a spinning sun. It is our connection with the Great Spirit, the place where God dwells within us. Eventually, the beholder will begin to reveal its own source, which is spirit, or the ninth chakra, which resides outside of the luminous energy field and extends throughout the cosmos. I want you to think of that like a funnel coming down towards you. It is the heart of the universe, at one with the Great Spirit. As the eighth chakra is where God dwells within us, the I am presence part of it, the ninth chakra is a part of us that dwell within the Creator, all that ever is, all that ever was, the universe, if you will, and so much more. The ninth chakra resides in the heart of the universe. It is outside of time and space, the self that has never been born and will never die. This self is prior to time, and it never enters the river through which time flows. It is the self that never left the Garden of Eden. The eighth chakra corresponds to the Christian concept of the soul, which is personal and finite. The ninth chakra corresponds to spirit, which is impersonal and finite. I just wanted to share that one with you before. Now, we're just going to take a moment and we're going to just do a practice. We're showing you as we open sacred space. Let us do a fire ceremony and then let us close. We're going to use several tools. And so as we practice this one, I welcome you to stand with me as we begin. So first things first, remember what we had stated, that now is a good time before we get started to cleanse our energies. Let us smudge. And so we can take the opportunity to light some sage, to light some Palo Santos, light what you have to smudge with. And as you do, I'm going to allow myself to, I love the smell of Palo Santos. If you have the opportunity, this was given to me by a shaman from Peru. And so as we do this, and I can smudge for you, but you can also use it for smudging for yourself. And as you allow yourself to come around, you want to come around all the way, and I'll go underneath my feet. And go up the back and up the front. and if you just want to allow smudging for you and smudging for me. And be careful if they're still burning when you put them down. And now, as we've cleansed ourselves, so that's step number 1, now we're going to say, all right, now let's open up our sacred space. And so as we open sacred space, I'm going to turn into my directions. So I'm now looking towards, for me, I have south, west, north, and east. So if you want to find your directions and work with me, if not, you can just imagine yourself, but it's better if I'm turning and facing it. So as we begin, to the winds of the south, great serpent, come and wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us to shed the past the way you shed your skin, to walk softly on the earth. Teach us the beauty way. Welcome. To the winds of the west, Mother Jaguar, come and protect our medicine space. Teach us the way of peace and to live impeccably. Show us the way beyond death. Welcome. To the winds of the north, hummingbird, grandmothers, grandfather, and ancient ones, come and warm your hands by our fire. Whisper to us in the wind. We honor all of you who have come before us and all who will come after us, our children's children. Welcome. To the winds of the east, O great eagle condor, come to us from the place of the rising sun. Show us the mountains we only dare to dream of. Keep us under your wing. Teach us to fly wing to wing with the Great Spirit. Welcome. And now, so I don't go off camera, I will simply etherically touch the ground. Mother Earth, oh dear Mother Earth, we have gathered for the healing of all your children. The stone people, the plant people, the four-legged, the two-legged, the finned, the furred, the winged ones, the creepy crawlers, all of our relations. Welcome. Father, Sun, Grandmother Moon, and to the star nations, to all the angels of the divine light, you who are known by 1,000 names and still yet the unnameable one, thank you for bringing us together to sing the song of life. Welcome. And now this is where you may add things. I call to the earth keepers. I call to my highest guides and guardians. I call and open to my higher self. I welcome in the I Am presence in the Mother, Father, God. We welcome in the elemental kingdom. In addition to the 4 directions, we invite in the 10 directions and above and below. We bring in all the elements. This is where you could state earth, water, air, fire, ether. And you may choose to light a candle now in this moment. And as you light the candle, cleansing your space into perfection, I light this candle, bringing light to my experience. Only light enters my experience and light exits my experience. And now those, they may truly come to warm their hands by my fire, as I am ready also for a fire ceremony. We will open our personal sacred space now. Hands in prayer. And inhale as we reach up into our 8th chakra. Let those fingers go deep into it. Feel the soul essence in that light. And exhale, opening and expanding that light. Feel it pour all around you. As we warm our hands by our fire. Scooping, I can feel my heat all the way from here. Scooping that, and let us bring it into our heart. And you can do that a few times. Taking my fire, I can bring it into my belly, my center of power. And let us bring it into our center of wisdom, into our brow. And now remember what I said? Just take that, the warmth of the fire, and bring it all the way into you. And allow yourself to let it wash. And just so that you can see, while the fire is here, I have quite a bit of heat right from here, and I'm just scooping it up with my hands and bringing it over. Scooping it up with my hands, bringing it over. And now that we've done our fire ceremony, it can be that simple, or it can be larger and entailed. And as we close, remember, bringing our hands from here all the way back up into the soul essence, bringing our hands together and closing. That was our personal space. And you can choose then to release the directions. As we thank all those who came to join us in this very sacred, simple service to do our fire ceremony and our sacred space. We thank all of you for being to attention, and we release you. So we can, from this space, I release jaguar, serpent, hummingbird, and eagle, condor. I release the 4 directions. I thank heaven and earth. Breathe into that and let it go. And always remember, when you have finished your ceremonies, unless you have a bonfire or a pit fire, you may let it burn out naturally. But when you have completed, put out your candle. So that concludes the module for what you will need once you've taken the Munay-Ki. We hope that you enjoyed, that you've learned something here today. We will look forward to seeing you join us in any or all of the 10 rites in deepest Munay. With great love.